వచ్చావా? దీనిగా షేర్ అవుతుందా చూడు. పెట్టా చూడు. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Okay. Good evening, all. Welcome to map pointing session one. So in this session, we are going to discuss the current affairs aspects and all those areas which are in news. And we have divided this session into like three important. We have divided this module into three important sessions. And every session, you will be learning the current aspects. And along with this current aspects, I'll be teaching you what are the important areas which you have to concentrate for your preliminary examination. So without wasting time, let me first start the session. Remember, the most important which is continuously in news is the Rohingya issues. See, you all know the Rohingya issues between the Bangladesh and the Myanmar. Okay, so the Rohingyas which are flew from Myanmar, so mostly they reside in this Cox Bazar. So remember this term, Cox Bazar. Cox Bazar is a very important place in Bangladesh where the density of population is also high and where the refugees, okay, refugees center is also highly populated. So the Bangladesh plans to move 81,000 Rohingyas to islands after United Nations deal with the officials. So this Bhashan Char Island, this Bhashan Char Island, which is in Bangladesh, which is in Bangladesh, okay, and the most important island because it is a floating island. You can say it's a floating island, and it will be the new home for the Rohingyas. And remember, what is this turning out to be? I mean, like Bangladesh government has proposed setting up the Rohingyas on the Bhashan Char, which is an as of now uninhabited island, and it is on the estuaries of the Meghana River. So this on the estuaries of the Meghana River. So you have to remember for your map pointing perspective, what is this Bhashan Char Island? So Bhashan Char Island part of Bay of Bengal is the first important point which you have to remember. And the second important point is where is Cox Bazar and who are going to be habited in this area of Bhashan Char is the Myanmar refugees, okay, who are part Rohingyas who are now at Bangladesh now will be sent to the area of Bhashan Char. I hope this is clear and nothing more. And just you have to remember this is on the Meghana estuary and that's it. So he might ask you a question about the Cox Bazar or he might ask you a question of about where is the place Rakhine. Okay. He might ask you about the most important area which is the floating island is the which we have discussed is the Bhashan Char. For UPSC environmental point of view, the most important area is oil spills. The oil spills are regularly in news. What do you mean by oil spill? The spilling of oil over the water surface or the land surface is known as oil spill. So why is there an oil spill? See, oil spill, it could be a deliberate attempt or it could be because of an accidental attempt. So anything which could be a deliberate or accidental attempt, which will definitely impact an aquatic ecosystem, which will definitely impact the aquatic ecosystem because this will impact the marine. Okay, this is going to impact the marine system. Now, see, there are more important areas in the world which are considered to be called as a choke points. What are choke points? Choke points are considered to be as an nodal points, or can call them as the connectors of the world. So what are the most important choke points? We have Suez Canal, okay, and we have the most important isthmus nearby Singapore, and we have most important, that is the Panama Canal. Okay, so these are the most important connectors of the world which are considered to be called as a choke points. What is the importance of choke points? Choke points are such a most important locations which will connect one location to the other location, which actually can act as a gateways. Gateways means, for example, if you take this region as an North American region, and here you have Central American region, and here you have Southern American region. Now, any trade which has to go to move towards the Atlantic from the Pacific to move towards the Atlantic, you have to completely pass through the area of South America. So you have to pass to South America. That will definitely take a very long tenure duration, and also it will add to your transportation cost. So logic here is you can directly trade from the coastal side, that is the Central American side. That is, we have most important choke point, which is called as Panama. Now, Panama is very narrow and it will not accommodate the large cruise. It will not accommodate the large scale trades. So what you have to do? So immediately nearby the surrounding of the Panama, nearby surrounding of the Honduras, you have Nicaragua. So Nicaragua has not objected like the Panama has objected because Panama cannot accommodate all the lengthy ships or the huge large scale ferry vehicles cannot be accommodated in the Panama because its choke point is very narrow. Choke point is a gateway which will pass through the country, which will connect one ocean to another ocean, okay, which will actually reduce your transportation cost and the time. So Panama cannot be made broad now. Why? Because it will impact its habitation and the tribal and also the environmental aspects if you consider, it will definitely degrade. So here Panama has completely rejected to broader its narrow choke point. Now Nicaragua has come forward and Nicaragua says that I am very much ready so that you can you can come up with a choke point in my country which can actually accommodate all size of all the ships. It could be of any size. Now, in this case, in Nicaragua, where we are going to start the project, we have Great Nicaragua Canal, Great Nicaragua Canal, and Nicaraguan tribes have actually rejected this project and they have raised a large scale protest considering the environment because tribal are the people whose daily life, whose culture and tradition is actually 100% linked to the environment. And considering the protest of the Nicaraguan tribes, the government of Nicaragua has completely delayed the project which was put forward by the Chinese and the Hong Kong government. Now we have only one choke point in the southern and the northern America, that is in Central America. That choke point is called as the central choke point, which is the Panama choke point. And the most important choke point we have at Egypt, that we call it as Suez Canal. Suez Canal is also in news because of the ferry Evergreen, which was struck. Now, Suez Canal also acts as a very important choke point because it will connect the Mediterranean Sea and the Gulf. So, Suez Canal is very important. And finally, Singapore is also very important. It is also acting as a very important choke point which will connect the Indian Ocean, to the Pacific Ocean. Now, Singapore, Singapore is also called as port city because its geographical location is so unique that it cannot accompany or cannot accommodate all the development activities. Hence, Singapore's major returns or contribution towards the GDP is from the trade itself, that is from the marine, that is from the blue economy. Now, let me remind you, if we consider all these choke points, okay, if we consider all these choke points, at one or the other point, due to the heavy traffic, that is due to the heavy flow of vehicles of the traffic, this is actually impacting the choke points and these are leading to degradation. Along with the degradation, there is a large scale spill of oil. With large scale oil spills. Now, these oil spills will definitely impact the aquatic ecosystem. Not only the aquatic ecosystem, this may also impact our blue economy. Now, what government has done to consider this? What government has done to consider this and what reforms the government has taken? See, let me tell you, recently nearby Mauritius, we get to see oil spill. There is a large scale spill of oil nearby the Mauritius. And also nearby the Gujarat coast, there was an oil spill. There was a huge accident, okay, huge disaster in the Mexico, and we get to see an oil spill. And in the Chennai region, we also get to see oil spill, okay, if we consider the recent years. So what is the solution for this oil spill? Solution for this oil spill is, see, we have so many techniques to remove this oil, clean this oil from the ocean, because oil will cover the entire ocean, and it will not penetrate the important, that is the most important, that is the sunlight, so that the organisms which survive on the sunlight will may not continue to exist because they cannot prepare their food. So that's the reason this will also lead to degradation of the ozone, also the impact the species in the aquatic system. So hence you have to clean up this oil, you have to remove this oil so that the aquatic system can continue its survival. So what we should do? How should we remove this oil? So there is a technique. I mean, like this hydrocarbon will get split or multiply immediately whenever there is a case of any disturbances. Disturbances can be from the wind, disturbances can be manual. So this get multiplied and the oil spill will try to cover the ocean floor at a very faster rate. So you have to reduce this. What is the only stand you have to do? You have to remove the oil with certain technologies. The technology which is involved here, we call it as an oil zapper. Oil zapper is the technique which is completely based on bioremediation. Oil zapper is a technique which is based on completely bioremediation, where you make use of bacteria. You make use of bacteria to remove this oil. See, a scientist, Anand Mohan Chakravarti, a scientist by name Anand Mohan Chakravarti, has come up with a research work, and he has introduced the technique of oil zapper. So what is that he is using in the oil zapper? He made use of bacteria. He made use of bacteria so that these bacteria was actually helpful. This bacteria was very helpful so that I can remove this. Bacteria was very helpful so that these bacteria will eat away the hydrocarbons. That is, it will eat away the oil. And end products are the carbon and fresh water. So the name of the bacteria is Pseudomonas putida. What is Pseudomonas putida? Pseudomonas putida is a bacteria which depends on the hydrocarbon, and there is a growth of this bacteria whenever it will eat away this hydrocarbon or the oil spill, and the end products are the fresh water and the carbon. So it also emits a carbon content, but critics say that this could also lead to global warming, but the percentage of the carbon which is emitted is very, very less. So there is no threat, there's no much threat of the carbon towards this global warming. So what is this bacteria does? I mean, like whenever there is an accident of oil spill, so what the scientists used to do, or what the government will do is they will spill the bacteria over the oil content, and you can notice that you can easily observe that the bacteria will start growing. Whenever the bacteria starts growing, it clearly indicates that bacteria is eating away the hydrocarbon contents, and this will actually grow. When it is growing, obviously the water which is completely contaminated with the oil will definitely get purified. So what is the takeaway from this is, see, there is an oil spill in Mauritius recently. You should read what is about Pseudomonas putida and what is the term oil spill and what is oil zapper. Now we'll be using the most important terminology, that is bioremediation. And what is this most important oil zapper which can be used? See, it is used in the bioremediation of the oil spills. Both it is a land-based and also ocean-based. Any sort of oil spills is there. So bioremediation, that is like very green techniques, which can actually eat away and clean the content, the clean away the hazardous content, and can also come back in the normal phase. Naturally treating the soil pollutants and reduce groundwater pollution. This is one more case. Breakdown of simple hydrocarbons for their own usage to produce the energy. Next, this is used in treating the wastewater also to remove the harmful toxics. This all I have discussed the points. Next, soil and water bacteria, which Pseudomonas putida, which actually thrives on organic compounds and carbon-based energy sources in plant roots for their metabolism. So these 3 4 points which I've already discussed. So go through what is Pseudomonas butida and what are the advantages of Pseudomonas butida and what is oil vapor. Okay, and you have to remember the name of the scientists who have actually worked. Okay, in this case of introducing the concept of oil vapor. Next concept we will go through is Palagat gap and Sen-Gotovan gap. So why is that we are going through this topic? What is the need for us to refer to this topic? See, Western Ghats, in the Western Ghats, we have certain gaps. Remember, we have certain gaps in Western Ghats. And what is that gaps which we get to see in the Western Ghats? One by the name Palaghat, and the other one, the name Shen-Gotawan gap. Okay, so Palaghat gap, Shen-Gotawan gap, these both are part of Western Ghats. Both are part of Western Ghats. For example, if there is a flow of southwest monsoon, it will hit the Western Ghats and it will bifurcate into a north wing and south wing. This you must have studied in your geography. Now, you know the region of Kerala, the region of Maharashtra, especially Mumbai, are highly impacted due to this southwest monsoon wind, especially with this north wing and also little percentage with the southern wing. But mostly the Tamil Nadu region, Tamil Nadu leads as an shadow region, and it is depending on the retreating monsoon. Depends on the retreating monsoon. Now, this part of the Tamil Nadu is completely a rain shadow region. It depends on the retreating part. Now, there are certain important areas in the western region, which is called as the Palagat Gap and the Sen-Gotawan Gap, where put together the forest which you get to see is evergreen. Now, there is a question that when the Tamil Nadu itself is acting as a shadow region, rain shadow region, but within this region, there are two gaps which are actually making there is a passage or the flow of this wing, that is the southwest wing, passage of the southwest wing, only because of the there are certain gaps. So due to this gap, we get to see there is a continuous rainfall. So rainfall is very highest in this gap. Rainfall is very highest in this gap, and that's the reason we get to see here evergreen forest. That's the reason we can see that there is an evergreen forest. So for the exam point of view, please, you have to go through, okay, Palagat gap and Sengotta gap. Now, what are those species we get to see in Palagat gap and Sengotta gap? So let me remind you, this is Palagat gap, and here somewhere around we have Sengotta gap. Most important species which you get to see in this Western Ghat, and mostly we can call them as endemic. These are the lion-tail macaw. These are the lion-tail macaw which are present in the Western Ghats, and these are endemic. These are endemic to the Palaghat and Shengote Gap. And the other species we get to see here is Nilgiri Thar. Nilgiri Thar is also endemic to this Palaghat and Sengota Gap. See, you have to discuss and you have to study the Palaghat Gap, the Sengota Gap, and if there are any other gaps, even that you have to go through, because these are the most important gaps which I have covered, plus the species which are endemic to this area and why it is evergreen and what kind of species it supports. And also along with this, you should also study about Nilgiris. Should also study about Nilgiris, and moreover, we call them as blue mountain. Why do we call them blue mountains? Because of the Neelakurinji. Because of Neelakurinji, which will blossom somewhere around for around 10 to 12 years. Okay. There is no unique advantage or benefit of this Neelakurinji, but these are the species like we get to see in once in 10 to 12 years, and these mountains will become blue in color because these are blue species, and hence there is this is the blue mountains are only because of this Neelakurinji. So you have to go through all these important areas. Next important point, we will be discussing about the ballast. What is the ballast? What is the importance of ballast? So ballast water is nothing but the water which is contained in the ship. So the water which is contained in the ship. Why do you have to maintain this water in the ship? So that the ship is stable. Okay, the ship can be stable. Okay, and in order to maintain the stability, we maintain certain percentage of water. For example, if the ship moves from Africa and it will reach to India. So in order to get into the shore, what is that the ship will do? It will definitely try to open up. Okay, it will try to open up the water content so that it can reach the shore very easily. So when it moved from Africa, so there is an inlet of so many endemic species of Africa. There are inlets of so many species. That is, the endemic species of Africa will travel along with the ballast water and will reach the coast of India. So here, these species are called as alien species. Alien species will cause a threat to the already existing endemic species in our country. So basically, we get to see cotton snail is an alien species, and I have directly picked this from the Hindu because ballast water has brought a lot of invasive species in the past 1 2 years. And what are the things it will carry? It will transport the various types of fish, okay, virus, bacteria, algae, zooplankton, and benthonic invertebrates. Okay, and most important is sea slug. Okay, you can look at here, sea slug. So that is you call it as winged thecaphyra. So you go to this winged thecaphyra and mostly in the southwest nearby the Kochi coast, sorry, nearby the Kerala coast, you get to see in the southwest coast of India. And this has been like traveling from various regions, and it has been from the Atlantic coast of Europe. The presence of these are currently reported from South Africa, West Africa, like from Pakistan, Japan, from Australia and New Zealand. So these are like the invasive species, and these invasive species are the aliens, which will immediately try to adjust, adjust, and these will impact the food chain of the existing species. So you have to remember this thing. Wing Secasira is the one most important species which are in news. Now we have to go through the most other important aspects of the river disputes, which are mostly in news. One among that is Mahaday River. Okay, Mahaday River is a disputed river, and the dispute is between Goa, Maharashtra, and Karnataka. Okay, so what is the issue? What is the issue raised here? We call Mahaday River as Mahadai River. We also call it as River Mandovi. Okay, three different names, and we call this Mandovi in Goa because it is a very important river that is lifeline of Goa. It's a lifeline of Goa. So where is the catchment area? Given the catchment area, that is Goa, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. And where is the source? Where does it start from? The source is from the foothills of Karnataka. That is the foothills of the Western Ghats. Okay, and where is the mouth? The mouth is in Arabian Sea. All right, remember the foothills of Western Ghats in the Karnataka region, and it will flow from Maharashtra. Sorry, it will flow from Karnataka to Maharashtra and also to Goa. Now, what is the issue of river Mandovi? See, Mandovi and Zori. You have to remember Mandovi and river Zori. These are the most important rivers. That is lifeline of Goa. Lifelines of Goa. Now, this river flows around 77 kilometers, and mostly in the Belagaon district of Karnataka. Okay, Belagaon districts of Karnataka, where this originates nearby this Western Ghats foothills. Now, what is the dispute? The major dispute is between the Karnataka and the Goa. See, Karnataka, what are the proposals of Karnataka? What is the issue? Karnataka has been starting to raise the dam so that it can release water, so it can divert some water from Mahadevi River to Malaprabha River. Okay. Karnataka can divert the water from the Mahadevi River to the Malaprabha River basin. As part of Karnataka has come up with this project, that is Kalasa Banduri Nala project. Okay, remember this project where the Karnataka is be raising a dam so that it can divert the Mandovi River water to the Malaprabha River water. Now, Goa, whether the Goa will keep quiet, it will go to now, okay, the National Green Tribunal, and it has raised a question that what is the question? National Green Tribunal and also later to Supreme Court also. And the Supreme Court has set up Mahadevi Water Dispute Tribunal. Supreme Court has also set up Mahadevi Water Dispute Tribunal. Now that is in the 2010-2011. Okay. Now Karnataka wants to divert the water. For what purpose it has to divert? For drinking, for irrigation, and mostly for the drinking purpose, irrigation purpose of Belagaum district, Dharwad district, Balakot district, and Gadar districts. So for all these districts, they need drinking water irrigation facilities. So they have diverted the water from the the main, that is from the Mahadevi River to Malaprabha River basin. Now they also have constructed Kalasa Banduri Nala project, which is going to be very important project for the important four areas which I have given you. Now, due to this diversion, due to this diversion, Goa also will face an impact because Goa Zori River, which is a lifeline river, okay. Now this Zori River, which is acting as a navigable channel, is acting as a navigable channel, which will actually connect to Mormugao port. Which will actually connect to the Mormugao port, and it is acting as a navigable channel, which is very important. And if you divert to Kalasa Banduri Nala project from the Mala to the Malaprabha River, from the Mandovi River, then definitely it is going to impact. It is going to impact Goa's lifestyle. That is the lifeline. That is the Zori River. It is going to reduce the content in the Zori River, and also there are so many, and also there are so many important parks. That is the bird sanctuary, Salimali Bird Sanctuary, Salimali Bird Sanctuary, which is in Goa. It is also going to get impact because most birds migrate in particular seasons, to this Salimali Bird Sanctuary. And if this dam is being constructed and the water is diverted by the Karnataka government, then Zori River will be impacted. Along with the Zori River, there will also be a Salimali project, Salimali Bird Sanctuary, which is going to impact. Now, what is the other things which is going to have an impact to the Goa? Majorly the species. So what kind of species you get to see in the region? Majorly the region of Salimali. First one, red knot. You get to see red knot there. Next, you get to see black bittern. You get to see red knot, you get to see black bittern, little bittern. So all these species, will be the most important is red knot. So please remember this, and black bittern and little bittern. So all the species will be definitely will be impacted if the riverbed is impacted. Now, what is the Maharashtra's issue? Even Maharashtra is also sharing certain percentage for its irrigation and drinking water purpose. The Karnataka, if it is diverting, it will definitely impact. It will 100% impact the Mahadevi River. So this is the Malaprabha region when the Karnataka is trying to divert the water. So remember, there are issues with respect to Mahadevi in the three states of Karnataka, Goa, and Maharashtra. So revise this Mahadevi topic very carefully before you go to your prelims. Let us take next topic. The next topic is Chagos Archipelago. Chagos Archipelago. Chagos archipelago is continuously in news. What is the reason? Chagos archipelago, this is basically in the Indian Ocean region. Okay, and this mostly belongs to the important, that is United Kingdom. So what is the issue of Mauritius? That is, what is the issue of the Mauritius and the Mauritius and the United Kingdom? Look at this Chagos archipelago totally belong to Mauritius only. As Mauritius was in the control of United Kingdom and has been given freedom, Indian freedom, Mauritius is demanding Chagos also. That if you are given freedom, Chagos also be part of Mauritius. But UK says no, I need Chagos archipelago because I want to construct most important bases, naval bases, military bases, British bases in the British military bases, army bases in the Mauritius. Now, International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice has also given, okay, its support to Mauritius, so that the justice has come in support of the Mauritius, and the most important is nearby this Chagos archipelago, we have the most important group of islands. We call as Diego Garcia. Okay, so most important islands of Chagos archipelago is Diego Garcia, and Diego Garcia is nothing but a group of islands in which, in the Diego Garcia, United States of America has its military base. Okay, United States of America has its military base, and this could also be an impact to the Indian Ocean region. So Chagos archipelago is in news, and you also have to read about Diego Garcia, which is a group of islands, which is also part of this Mauritius. Next, most important is Borneo Island. What is Borneo Island? Borneo Island, basically, in the Hindu, most of the time, I think around 3 to 4 times, this news was covered. What is the news is Indonesia is planning to shift its capital from Jakarta to Borneo. So, what is the issue with Jakarta? Why country, okay, with its capital for this long period of time, now it wants to shift its capital to Borneo. See, Jakarta is not stable island. Remember, Jakarta is not a stable island, and it could submerge. It could also submerge. Why? Because of climate change and global warming. Because of climate change and global warming, this Jakarta island could submerge. So Indonesia has passed a law that it is going to relocate the capital from Jakarta to Borneo, and reason could be submerging. That's it. Now, Borneo, if you consider this area, Borneo, if you consider this area, is very important for us for mapping. So, what is the reason here? What is that we have to study? See, Borneo is belongs to Indonesian island. Borneo belongs to Indonesian island, but it is administered by three important regions. So it is not administered entirely by Indonesia. That you have to understand. First, look at this part, the yellowish part. It is administered by Indonesia itself. Okay, Indonesia itself, and this part of Borneo is administered by the Malaysia, and the remaining part, this tiny part, is administered by the Brunei. So Borneo Island, if someone asks you the question, which of the following island is administered by three important regions, then it is the Borneo. So Borneo, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. So these are the three regions. Now, why it is in news? Because Indonesia wants to take a risk to shift its capital from the Jakarta region to the Borneo region. So this is the reason why it is in news. So map pointing point of view, you have to know that it belongs to Indian Ocean. And it is one of the most important area because you have most number of islands in this region. Now, Galapagos. So where is Galapagos? First, you should know that Galapagos is in Pacific Ocean and it belongs to Ecuador. Equator passes through Ecuador. That is the reason we have given it the name of Ecuador. So Galapagos Island are completely in the origin of Ecuador. And why Galapagos Island is continuously in news? See, recently Galapagos Island is in news because of there is an erupt of volcano. We call it as an wolf volcano. Remember this name? We call it as wolf volcano. And Ecuador, this was why it was in news in the international part. And in the second time, Ecuador has started declaring because Galapagos are part of Ecuador, and Ecuador has declared emergency after there was an oil spill issues. So the second time we get to see in this past 6 to 7 months, there are 2 to 3 cases of oil spills. Third one, famed Darwin's Ark in Galapagos Island collapses. So what are those famed Darwin Ark in Galapagos? See, there are few important, Galapagos Islands arcs. So those are very famous. You would have watched that in most of the movies, or you would have noticed that in most of that famous areas which you get to see in the Galapagos. Now this has been collapsed. So this area has been collapsed. Okay, and due to this, we get to see only these two peaks are present now. Okay, now what is the issue of why is that Galapagos in news? First one, it is because of the Wolf volcano. So lava is seen after the eruption of volcano Wolf. So I have written here volcano Wolf in the Isabella Islands in the Galapagos. See, he can ask you any question related to mapping, so be clear with that. Now, second, it was in news because of oil spills. Third, it was in news because of the Darwin's ark has completely collapsed. And also, there is a claim that Ecuador want to clear that there is a China's invasion. There is a China's invasion in the regions of Ecuador. So what Chinese claim is, see this part here, this part is entire Chinese part, and China people, the fishermen, you will definitely travel to this Ecuador region. What is the intention? Because of the Humboldt current. Because of the Humboldt current, and this is the cold current. Okay, which will bring lot of nutrients. When there is lot of nutrients, obviously the population of fish will be very, very high. So Chinese invasion in this area is very high as the availability of this water species are very rich here. And this is because of the Humboldt or the Peruvian, which will bring the nutrients from the bottom to the top. So that's the reason most fish concentrate here and the Chinese have started invading. So this is the fourth time why Galapagos was in news. Now, Assumption Island. Assumption Island is also in news. Just remember why Assumption Island is in news, because Seychelles committed to Indian naval base. See, Assumption Islands, Assumption Island belongs to Seychelles. Where is Seychelles? It is in Indian Ocean region nearby Maldives. So it belongs to Seychelles, the Assumption Island, and it is a claim that Seychelles Seychelles government is going to have an agreement with the Indian government, and it is trying to give this Assumption Island on lease, basically, to the Indian government, so that Indian government can actually build its Indian Navy. So Indian government is planning to build its naval base, okay, and the Assumption, that is the Assumption Island. So remember later, and when other developed countries started questioning Seychelles that the region belongs to you and it cannot be diverted to any other country's naval base, then Seychelles rejected that. I'm not in favor of any foreign military base, but internally we knew that the Seychelles has offered us, and we also had an agreement to build the infrastructure there. Now, farm state. Remember this term, farm state. Farm state is nearby Greenland. See, we get to see here lot of microplastics. We get to see here lot of microplastics, and that's why farm state is in news in general, because microplastic pollution has increased nearby this Greenland. And farm state, he can ask you in the area of farm state. And remember, the other important aspect is you should know what is happening nearby this Barents Sea. Barents Sea is in news. What is the reason? We get to see here Atlantification. We get to see here Atlantification. That is, what do you mean by Atlantification? We get to see basically Barents Sea belong to Arctic region. So in general, Barents Sea should occupy Arctic region's characteristics. But due to climate change and global warming, Barents Sea, we can notice that it is undergoing a rapid changes. Water are slowly, I mean, like the water temperature is slowly increasing, and the glacial lakes started melting up in this Arctic region, and we could see the temperature and the characteristics of this Barents Sea is very similar to Atlantic. Okay, so there is a transition, that is like warming condition, decreasing sea ice volume. Now transition or at the Barents Sea, cold fresh Arctic waters, cold fresh Arctic waters to a warm salty Atlantic region. Okay, so why it is having this drastic changes? The reason is climate change and the global warming, and you get to see nearby this Barents Sea the characteristics of the Atlantic. So hence we call it as an Atlantification. Just remember this term. What do you mean by Atlantification? Means any area which is other than the Atlantic region, you get to see the similar characteristics of the Atlantic Ocean. And Barents Sea, if it continue in the space by 2040, we can say that the Barents Sea will have the complete Atlantic Ocean characteristics, and hence Barents Sea is in news. Anguilla Island. So you must know what is Anguilla Island. See, Anguilla Island is a very tiny island. Anguilla is a very tiny island. So what is the use of Anguilla Island for? Nothing. See, if you take United States of America, if you take India, they have their own portals. That means they have their own websites. They generate these websites and they make these extensions like com, like IN for India, and Anguilla Island has come up with a common portal that is AU. So Anguilla Island is cashing in on a query domain name. .au is its domain name. Anguilla Island, hereby in the region of Caribbean Sea. Okay, and it also has a lot of influence under the control of the United Kingdom. So it has created a domain name AU, and whenever this applications or whenever this portal is being used or generated based on .au, then obviously Anguilla Island will be getting benefits, and someone has to pay them in dollars. Now that's the reason Anguilla Island is used, and because of their earnings. Now, Dapang and Mango. See, very important point here. Dapang and Mango, that is as part of International Solar Alliances and all, and as a part of developing green technologies or basic infrastructure, the Dapang region and the Mango regions, okay, the Dapang and the Mango regions, which are in Togo, okay, where NTPC has been given a project to develop the solar photovoltaic projects or the parks around 70 acres in the Dapang region of Dalwasa region and 500 acres of the identified land in Mango region. So Togo is the first international solar alliance country to avail the services of NTPC, that is National Thermal Power Corporation. So in the exam, he may ask you the terms Dapang and Mango are in news. So don't misunderstand, and as it is mango season, you can feel that this could be a type of mangoes. So it could not be type of mangoes because these are the regions where the government of India has given a license for NTPC to perform the project in Togo region. Now, Khuzestan. See, we all know that Iran and Iraq are one of the leading producers of crude oil, and Khuzestan is this region where Iran has found its new oil field with 53 billion barrels. So remember this term. This is very simple term. Khuzestan, the Pangon Mango, Anguilla Islands, Farm Straits. So if you just practice, it could be easy for you. Next, Razaza Lake. What is the importance of Razaza Lake? Khuzestan is part of Iran. Razaza is part of Iraq. So the Razaza Lake, once it was a tourist. It was a tourist location. Now it is being impacted. What is the reason? So dead fish litter from the shores. Okay, and this is because of the more salt content. This is because of the bacteria which is actually impacting, and also this is also because of extreme climate change and global warming, which has made this lake to dry up. Okay, now please remember this name, that is Lake Razaza. Now in the Antarctic region, most important region, we have the South Pole, where we have Ross Sea, that is Ross Isle, Weddell Sea. See, Ross Sea, Weddell Sea, they have their extension is very huge. The extension is very huge, and due to climate change and global warming, we could see there are n number of breaks in the Ross Sea and the Weddell Sea. So Ministry of Earth Science says that India is sponsoring a proposal of the European Union for designating East Antarctica and Weddell Sea as a marine protected areas. So obviously we'll make this project very successful because we also have so many stations here, workstations like Bharti, Dakshin Gangotri, Maitri, etc. Okay, so among them, one or two are still functional. And remember, in Antarctica, our research activities, when compared to Arctic, in Antarctica we have very highest. So Weddell Sea is in news. Rossi is in news. Some question is being asked, so do not get confused. Now, another important here is Pakistan Army is holding exercises. So, what is the name of the exercise? Is Jidar ul Hadid in the Thar Desert. What is that? The conflict in extreme desert environments, and this is mostly in the partly in the regions of Rajasthan, Northwest India, Punjab regions in the province. So just remember Jidar ul Hadid. This is part of the Thar Desert region. What is the name of the exercise? Jidar ul Hadid, which is part of Thar Desert. Okay, so I hope you have noted down the locations of the Thar Desert, and you must be knowing what is the Kyrgyzstan, the Bangan Mango, okay, Rossi, and finally the Thar Desert region. So Sumeru volcano erupted in Indonesia, East Java provinces, and what is this ring of fire? Pacific ring of fire, you must be knowing. Okay, a series of volcanoes, and you can also know that Semeru volcano erupted in Indonesia. Okay, East Java province. So just remember the term Semeru Islands, which has erupted, because most of the times, like Wolf volcano, which I have said recently, that was also erupted. So that could be your question. So he may ask you volcanoes or regions or the oceans. So be careful with all these areas. Okay, so these are the few topics which we have covered as part of the recent current affairs in the first sessions. So this was one reason. So almost 20 topics I have covered, which are part of your current affairs. So I hope this could be very useful for you. And if there are any doubts, you can post. And we'll also come up with the different sessions of current affairs, the map pointing, and majorly we are targeting environment, economy, and also the history topics. And mostly your other faculty will also be taking geography, history, environment. I'll be taking economy for this 2022 prelims, which could helpful for you in gaining the current aspects. Okay, so thanks for joining. Take care.